Start with Nvidia. And the options markets were pricing in these big swings, and we didn't really get that. But there was a lot within the story, including that $80 billion number. Let's talk a little bit about this. Your thoughts?
Good morning, Nicole. So the number one thing I'll say is the day's not over yet. So you're right. All the pre-market and overnight trading, Nvidia got down to about $220, got up as high as about $225, but it's been relatively muted and range bound so far, right? There was some news made in the earnings report. I mean, the earnings itself, $1.87 versus $1.76, good number. Revenue, $81.6 billion versus $78.8, good number. Gross margins, very close, 74.9, very close to that 75% number that was so important. I think that's a good number. The news made, $80 billion in stock repurchase and a dividend up to 25 cents a share. That's news. You know, people weren't expecting money back to shareholders. So I think that's interesting. And that could show a little bit of a nod to how Apple so aggressively buys their own stock back. And let's face it, as a CEO, if you feel that your stock is undervalued, that's one weapon that you have against the undervalued stock. You can buy your own stock back. So all things considered, I thought he talked a lot about, you know, the Vera Rubin. It's the Vera CPUs and the Rubin GPUs that are going to be the next chapter for Nvidia. We'll see how this plays out over time in the next couple of days and what analysts say. I think the analyst community is going to be pretty receptive to these earnings. They were, you know, a nice solid beat. The guidance was strong. So all things considered, but again, Nicole, as we've said in the past, Nvidia's been down 5 of the last 7 earnings reports, and it's looking down this morning. Now, that may have more to do with the overall market than Nvidia itself, but we'll certainly watch that play out throughout the day.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny that you talked about the dividend and the buybacks, and I was noting yesterday that compared to the peers, they really don't do that. It was, I don't have the numbers handy, but it was something like, you know, only 47% compared to the peers that do it 80+% of the time, which means, you know, providing or raising dividends and doing buybacks, and that Nvidia wasn't really doing that. I think maybe it was you I had the conversation with that. I said it all goes back into the company, and it was very interesting to see that. I mean, when you think about some of the competitors here and other names in tech, we are seeing a lot of down arrows this morning. You know, when we think about these down arrows and how, you know, does Nvidia really keep its place as the leader with the moat after what we heard today, right?
Well, there's certainly a moat with Nvidia and their dominance in GPU. The only thing comparable is Google Alphabet with search, right? They have a massive market share, but there's competition out there, right? You know, the one thing that dominance like this will bring in such a highly focused and popular segment of the U.S. economy, it's going to bring competition. Google Alphabet, Apple, Amazon, they're all making their own chips. Will they get to the level of Nvidia? It's hard to say. AMD's a competitor. Broadcom's a competitor. There is competition out there, but we'll see how it plays out over time. It seems like to me every time someone comes out with a chip that's approaching Nvidia, they come out with a new chip themselves and pull away. I think the Vera Rubin, you know, they're saying, you know, great technical things about the Vera Rubin. So, you know, this is going to be an interesting day for Nvidia. Now, you've got the market heavy to start the day, but we'll see how Nvidia plays out. Right now, the stock, it looks like it's down about $2 pre-market.
Yeah, I see that. It's at around 221 with the revenues that were up 85%. And by the way, I found that Barron's stat, so in case anybody was listening to me, and I do have it, based on the Bank of America calculations, 47% of NVIDIA's free cash flow between the years 2022 and 2025, 47% was allocated to dividends and buybacks. That compares with 80% for the peers. So I had the numbers right. I just didn't have the period of time. It was from 2022 2022 to 2025. So this is really a nod, really rewards shareholders to a certain extent. It seems like good news across the board when I think about it. Going forward, also, he really bowed to China. And he noted Huawei just sort of taking the market share, and very few expectations for China, right?
Yeah, exactly. He basically said that Huawei, he basically conceded that Huawei is leading China. And there's a lot of reasons for that, obviously. Number one, our government won't let him sell chips to China. And number two, China is enticing their businesses to buy from Huawei. So, yes, right now as it sits, people were hoping for some good news out of China, really didn't get it.
Understood. And the revenue outlook going forward also, should be noted. We talked about some of the numbers in the quarter and data centers soaring, but also the second quarter revenue outlook of $91.0 billion versus the $86.84 billion estimate. That's also interesting, too, to see that we're going to have more going forward when it comes to this.
Josh. So hot off the press, obviously we're seeing Nvidia shares after hours just kind of flip-flopping here. It was a beat and raise. Obviously the street with Nvidia likes to see the magnitude of that beat and raise. A couple of little announcements here, obviously on the dividends. But look, healthy gross margin, 75%. Data center revenue up in 75%. Revenue up 85%. These are all sorts of the numbers that we were looking for. You speak to a lot of market pundits. You speak to a lot of analysts. What were they looking out for in this report?
Yeah, I think you hit on the big ones there, Sam, in terms of what they were also going to do with capital, right? Would they boost their dividend? Would there be share buybacks? You did get both of those, so I do think that's a positive in terms of what you're looking for from Nvidia. And then I also think some of the questions really won't be answered until the call. Of course, we're waiting to hear from Jensen Huang on that earnings call. I think key questions are competitors taking any market share? Where does Nvidia see themselves within the marketplace a couple years down the line from now? Is Alphabet, some of the other hyperscalers that are starting to build out in some of this chip space, are they going to be competing with Nvidia to a meaningful amount? The earnings release isn't going to tell you the answers to that question. And it's not going to tell you what's going on in China. That's not coming in this earnings release. I think those are two big questions that maybe you get more color on the call, and then you start to see the stock move a little bit.
Yeah, it seems to be more about the narrative than the numbers right now, particularly with regards to the AI supercycle narrative that Jensen Huang has going to kind of put up here. Obviously, we've got a little bit of an indication as to the Rubin ramp and some of those timelines as well, but you mentioned a really interesting point, and I'm just wondering, in some of your coverage more recently, how are you thinking about the competition? What are analysts saying to you right now about that market share being eroded, particularly because we're talking so much about Google's TPUs right now, and we just got that endorsement from Blackstone this week?
Yeah, I think when you think about market share, you also have to think about the pie getting bigger. Yes. And that's what you're hearing analysts talk about a lot as well. So yes, there'll be more players within the chip space, but demand continues to surge. So does that actually mean trouble for Nvidia? Maybe not. And I think that's sort of where the market sits on this issue right now. The interesting thing with Nvidia to me, it's become more and more of a growth story once again. If you look at those revenue numbers you were talking about, 85% year-over-year revenue growth. You go back a couple quarters, it was in the mid-50s. It's been expanding year-over-year revenue growth and year-over-year earnings growth once again over the last couple quarters. It's becoming more of an attractive growth story than it was a year ago. That's because of the surging chip demand. When we talk about all these other chip makers that have gone crazy to start the year and all the demand they're seeing, Nvidia is still at the forefront of that demand story, and so I think you can continue to see more and more growth from the best player and the biggest player in the market.
Sure, and it's like the Pied Piper, isn't it? Because as goes Nvidia, so does the market. So how have you been thinking going into this? What have you been hearing as to, depending on what happens on that call later on, what the Nvidia effect will be on this market come tomorrow?
I don't know how much Nvidia can fully move the market at this point in sort of the AI story, because to what I was just sort of talking about, and I'm sure you've covered plenty over the last month, the semiconductor rally and the AI demand story has been what's driving us. That's really the only question Nvidia can answer for you is how much are hyperscalers pounding the table, trying to get more chips? Where is demand? Demand has not been a question for this market really at all, so I don't know how much of a boost Nvidia really gives you from that perspective. And then from just a general stock perspective, Nvidia hasn't moved more than 3% positively post-earnings in 2 years.
Yes.
The stock has not had big, large moves. It's actually fallen a couple times by more than that, but it hasn't moved double digits in more than 2 years. So I don't think you're going to see, no matter what happens on the call, a large rally where you get, okay, largest stock in the market is up 10%. That's leading your S&P 500 rally. That narrative hasn't quite played out as Nvidia's gotten so much larger. We're talking about $5 trillion stock. It's going to take a lot to move it significantly. So I don't think it will be able to push them.
You know, over at Goldman Sachs, they've raised the price target up to $285 now this morning, really seeing upside potential for the stock in the coming months. And some of the catalysts for that include driven by two factors: upside to hyperscaler CapEx forecasts that they believe are increasing sustainable, and also Nvidia's improved capital allocation framework. Really positive to hear that Goldman Sachs, James Schneider, the analyst over there, rating with a buy and putting the new target there up to 285, up from 250, applying an unchanged 30 times multiple to a normalized EPS estimate that he lifted to 950 from 825.
Yeah, and as we mentioned earlier, I mean, it doesn't necessarily rally on earnings. That's what we've seen. I mean, in previous quarters, I mean, it's up nearly 10% in the month, but the way that it was put to me was basically this rallies on other customers' earnings, and we've seen that in recent weeks. But it's interesting because, as I mentioned earlier, it's not about Nvidia, it's about the whole semiconductor trade, and obviously we wanted to see if the results are going to fuel this chip trade further, because, as you say, I mean, Nvidia has outperformed the NASDAQ, but it's underperformed the rest of the semiconductor index. And what we've seen in recent sessions with that pullback has been really interesting. Somebody put it really well today. It's like you've had 8 beers and you're like, I got to stop. I've got to have a glass of water. And it's whether you go back to the beer or you call a cab and you go home.
The market went back to the beer just today, right?
Right, exactly.
You saw a
so
massive
what are you seeing? I mean, is it partying? Is it continuing to party, or is it calling that cab and going home?
I think it will be a continue to party. Maybe you get a little bit of some digestion at this point. I think you were seeing that maybe with people talking a lot about bond yields to start the week.
Yeah.
Maybe that took a little bit of risk sentiment out of the air. But I think that's going to continue with discussion about the new Fed chair, discussion about the overall path of inflation, overall path of rates. At this point, maybe you get some digestion in the market. I mean, the SOX index had its best 25-day stretch since the dot-com bubble, second best ever. So for it to take a little bit of a break is probably a good thing. I would look for maybe some of that rotation trade to come back into play too. Okay, all of this AI semis, maybe I have too much AI semis. Where else is working in the market? Maybe you get a rotation and then you get more of a slog higher rather than the giant push we just saw.
There was an expectation that we needed a boost from this report because it is basically the last catalyst as we head into June. And obviously it's the biggest company in the world by market cap, and we don't get any other big earnings until Micron at the end of next month. So I'm wondering, as you speak to a lot of Wall Street people down here, what they're thinking about that sort of old adage of, you know, sell in May and go away once we've heard from Nvidia.
I think you, again, maybe with no catalyst, you do sort of struggle for maybe the next month or two. I think getting an understanding of what Kevin Warsh is going to be like as the Fed chair is going to be probably your biggest catalyst, starting to look out toward June. I also think the labor market story is starting to become very interesting. There hasn't been a lot of noise about the fact that maybe the U.S. economy is actually doing better than we thought. Several solid labor reports in a row now. You still have your unemployment rate hanging out at 4.3%. Yes, we're talking about, is the Fed's next move a hike? But left out of that conversation is the fact that they don't need to cut at all right now, and no one is arguing that the economy is weakening. I think that can be a continued strong story if the economy hangs in, because you still have oil prices hanging high. Does that weigh on consumer spending, or does consumer spending push through higher and higher? I'm watching some of those econ data prints over the next couple months, because again, we're not going to get much from corporates.
Right, and obviously the AI story and Nvidia being really at the top of that, being such a huge catalyst and you know, very stimulative for the market as far as an economic barometer, because, you know, one man's revenue is, one man's capex is another man's revenue, I should say. Is there anything that you'll be looking out for on the call specifically? Any questions that you would love to have answered?
I would love to know what the discussion was like in China.
Over the noodles.
Yeah, exactly, right? What did Jensen go for? What was the real discussion in the room?
Sure.
Are they going to sell any of these H200 chips in China? Because I'd argue at this point, when you look at Nvidia stock, China's pretty much priced out of it. There's no expectation for them to grow revenue in China, come back to having revenue in China. So when I'm looking for positive surprises, what can make Nvidia move higher, Maybe that's a key positive surprise. Do I think we get that answer tonight?
Yeah.
I don't really know. But thinking about that story over the next 6 months could be a big potential catalyst.
For sure, for sure. I mean, it feels like it's the first time we're going to be hearing from Jensen fresh off the plane from Beijing, which I hope he managed to catch back because he almost didn't make it on the way there. But yes, obviously China would be the cherry on top of the icing of the cake. That's just fun. Kevin, we've had plenty of time to digest these numbers. We're pretty aware of what they've reported here. I mean, particularly with the double-digit growth that many companies would be eager to see in their numbers. The envy, perhaps, of the entire corporate world right now. But just walk us through the reaction that we're seeing and some of the commentary around this.
Well, if you were selling premium in this market and expecting that the stock would not move that much, you were a winner today. And that's exactly what we are seeing. The stock's up pretty much actually flat for right now. And it's actually a good reaction. If you kind of look at the last 3 quarters or so, the selling activity actually did take place when the equity open occurred. So we are actually still seeing some stabilization here. And the broad market is trying to rebound back here. Now, when you're looking at top line, bottom line, obviously that was a beat. Their guidance was also really good. They are restructuring some of their business segments as far as a fundamental reporting standpoint. They announced the $80 billion buyback for their market cap. Not that much of an impact, but obviously does signal that they have some cash on hand that they could put to work. And they also increased their dividend up to from a penny up to 25 cents. So they actually had a really good report. Some of the commentary was also relatively strong here, and it's trying to hold up. I think if you can actually hold up at these current levels and close at these current levels, that primary uptrend that we have seen since the breakout of that consolidation, that 8 or 9 month consolidation, I think actually acts as a little bit more of a bullish catalyst for this name rather than bearish. So overall, we are kind of holding up here when it comes to Nvidia as well as some of the other names that trade along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the chip space today, all but AMD, Intel lower today, but the rest of the names are up, as you say. Nvidia just turning into positive territory now as well, but, you know, still range bound, particularly, you know, when you see moves like this in Nvidia.